Hello everyone. Not a good start. Hello everyone. Welcome back to In My Shed. I'm BC. I'll give you a little bit of a look around, see what we're up to so far, but a bit of a moment for me to capture on film. The first machine wired up and making sparks later on in the day in the new shed. I've been trying to organise everything and I had just run out of floor space, so I put my first bench up, the drill press and vise on it, and then stuffed a whole lot of crap underneath it and on top of it, and it gave me a little bit more room on the shelves to get things organised. But I figured out that the first soldier that died on the move out should be the first one looked at. In the resurrection I did a bit of a Lazarus. The Brearley went off the front of the forklift in grand style. I put it on, it was on a small pallet, I put it on the forks, tilted it back, all the weight was back towards the carriage, and going up the ranch we just went over a little bit of a hump on the ramp, and this part here came back against the carriage, and I thought, well, that's where you'll bloody well stay because we're going uphill. And I moved forward just an inch and the machine suicided off the pallet onto the floor of the container, and I thought, well, let's bugger that. When we picked it up, the motor housing was loose on the carriage and everything looked a little bit sad, and I thought, bugger, I have lost an electrical cord. No, it's gone now. A little low voltage plug for the machine light, that's been smashed, but surprisingly all the basic mechanism looks like it come through good, so the Poms do build robust machines. And I also found another action in the compound I didn't know existed. I know you've got the forward and aft motion, but over back there's a shaft with a hole through it, and while I was underneath cleaning and lubricating everything I found out that there's a quick clamp lever and I have to put a shaft through that shaft, but I can move the motor actually in a rapid movement, so once you finish grinding you can retract the motor. I knew that that was a feature available on the later model Brearleys, but I didn't know that this old model had it, so that's something I've come across. While the motor was off, and I'll show you shortly what had happened, I took the time off to adjust the gibs on the two slides. There's a couple of grease nipples on the main slide, so I put a bit of grease in there. I've run the motor for a bit to make sure the wheel isn't going to take my face off, and it seems to be doing that quite well. They're a very, very good motor on these machines. Run reasonably smooth, there's only a minimum of vibration, and it's been a joy to use. And another thing that brought me to resurrecting this machine first, while drilling the holes to mount the vise to the bench, I found I've got a large number of blunt drills. Well, I can do it all by hand, but I espouse grinding tools by machine, so I thought I'd better resurrect Lazarus here, and he'll have that name probably for the rest of his life. Bearings seem to run quite smoothly. I'm happy with that. So I'll bring you in, show you what areas I worked on. I didn't film the repair because it was something I wanted to do a bit urgently, and it was just dead simple. A couple of mounting bolts holding the motor to the subframe, to the main frame. Bolts have come loose and easy done. So bring you in, a quick look at it, and then we'll grind a couple of drills. Okay, and now looking in at the working parts of the Brearley. Really a simple part of the mechanism, just a XY table, and that caught my eye while I was getting under the machine. That actually works a pinion gear under the guts, and this hand wheel works a worm, and when that pinion gear is stationary that moves the table backwards and forwards, but there's a lock in here and the locking lever clamps that shaft so it can't turn. When you undo the lock and you turn that shaft, it runs the whole carriage backwards and forwards like a rack and pinion, i.e. fast forward. Very, very good. I knew the later models had it, but not these earlier models. And when I first looked at it, the motor was quite loose on the motor base. And there's two studs and nuts at the back, one at the machine end, although it should be the other way around in my opinion. They were tight, so I thought it had smashed the casting inside and the whole lot would be stuffed. But I dismounted the motor and got up underneath here, and it was only a couple of bolts up into the motor. I nipped those up and everything is good now. And over the back of this slide there's 3 screws for the gib and on the back of this one as well, sorry, in there. So I've just taken a bit of slack out. This machine has had absolutely zero maintenance, and I find that very disheartening because it came from one of the aviation establishments. Quite a big name, and you're thinking, geez, you don't even maintain your bloody drill grinder. What about your aeroplanes? No, it wasn't one of the commercial entities. But all's been and fixed up now. I'll get a couple of drills over and you can see the old drill making some sparks again. Bye for now. Well, back again for the second exciting episode of the Really Get It Going again. Okay, for those that haven't seen the action before, it's quite a complex setup to design, I suppose, but to implement and use it is reasonably simple. All that's required in the setup is to put the plunger with the tapered hole up the back of the spindle, put your drill in. That reverse hole locates the back of the drill accurately. You then swing the gauge out, put the lip of the drill on the little step, equivalent to the diameter marked across the front plate there, lock the chuck up, and away you go. You can get some very, very good results. If you're not very careful in the setup, you can get some bloody awful results, and I've been guilty of both. But I'll turn it on, make some noise and make some sparks with the drill. Now the reason such a complex mechanism was thought up to sharpen a simple drill is all these simpler ideas were taken up by patents, and you don't want to pay royalties to somebody else or let him have the market, so you produce a machine that works a little differently. Now I'm just taking a bow or two at per pass. So that's it. Really Drill Grinder 101. I've done plenty of videos on this machine before, but this to me is special because it's the first one running after the big crash. Okay, we'll do a quick pan around and show you where everything has got to so far. For those of you about to comment on the background noise, yes, there is a fan running. There's a solar vent fan up on the roof and it was installed without a switch, so it runs whenever the sun comes out. Okay, this is one of the roller doors, and that's where the third tool and cutter grinder and the Brearley will be in where the jerry can is now. Mr. Hacksaw will be placed behind me, behind the radial drill. Those two tool and cutter grinders are in their final workplace, and bugger me, I sent the forklift away before I lifted them off the pallet, so there'll be a little bit of grunting with the engine crane. That's the temporary position for the Brearley at the moment, and the shelves that I put up, there's a bit of space being freed up with all of the material I put underneath the workbench. And there's the Rong Fu, my go-to for annular cutters, and behind all that crap sits the Cincinnati number 2. I'll just sneak around behind the tripod now. It isn't too much different to what you've seen before. There's the horizontal borer in the background. This is the back of the radial drill. Now I haven't been able to put the lathe and mill in their final resting place because the space behind them in front of that racking is where I have to drag the step ladder to get the wiring up for the Sparky in a couple of days when everything gets here. But that's a bit of the layout of what we have at the moment. Actually, it progressed very, very slowly at first until I got a few square metres on the floor. And then I was finally able to move machines around through that alley there. I did a video on that, and it's working a lot faster when I get time. Moving house, moving shed, finding everything in amongst what's on the shelf there. It's going to be weeks before I get fully operational, but the first machine's making sparks. Next will be the Rong Fu, and then the Stella tool and cutter grinder for countersinks, and at least I can get a few dollars coming in. Okay, please like and subscribe. And if in the background you have any spare old video equipment, shoot it over to me. I've buggered up the bloody shotgun microphone. I don't know what the hell's wrong, but it's not microphoning anymore. And I do need a bit more lighting here. Anyway, bye for now. Like and subscribe. All the best. G'day everyone, welcome back to In My Shed. I'm BC. Starting to wheedle the machines around to get them in place. I've got the little Rongfu grinder behind me. I'll swing around to that shortly. And what I have to do, because old Smarty here got rid of the forklift a little bit early, I've got to wheedle or worm these tool and cutter grinders forward on the pallet to the point that the engine crane can get them without exceeding the capacity of the engine crane. And in a previous episode I said I've cut 900mm off the legs of the crane to make it more agile around the shop, and it's very versatile, but it's just very limiting in what you can pick up. So this old girl here, even after I strip off the rear and side table, still going to be about 250 to 300 kilograms, and it's quite a bit to lift, especially if you don't think too much about the way you do it. Now first off, and this is a suggestion from one of the mates, just put a choker around the top, and that's a really good idea, and I was going to do that until I saw the weld repair on the guard. And I thought, what the hell is that all about? And then I realised that all of these guards are cast iron and about 3 to 4mm thick and nowhere near strong enough to take the couple of 100 kilos aside or whatever. So that's why there's a repair there, and I don't want to have to go through another repair. I've done that in the past on the Rongfu, trying to adjust the belt with a bit of a hit with the hammer, and that didn't help. So what I'm going to have to do is lift up from the main saddle, lock that in position, tie it off to the head for a little bit of stability, but most of the weight will be taken down on the frame. But what this video is about is how the hell do you wheedle these machines around? If you try and do it physically and you're my size, you'll end up with your belly hanging out of your bum. It's not really that easy to do. So one thing I have got is a collection of pry bars. I start off at 12-inch, 24-inch, and what I'm using here is a 36-inch bar, and they are quite smartly made. A 36-inch bar has only got half the foot length of a 72-inch bar, so virtually your pry bar or your mechanical advantage ratio is pretty similar, and you can tip a machine up like this quite easy, but also you can work it sideways to move it around on the pallet. And I saw that done by Tom Lipton from Ox Tools. I'm copying him here, and this is not my innovation, but I'll just show you what you can do with the bar quickly, and it'll give you an idea of moving them around. Of all things you have to do when you're working with heavy machines is think about safety. A couple of things can happen: is the machine can fall on you, and that would be a bloody disaster, and for some reason they don't give you any warning, it just happens. So if you act like a dickhead, you'll finish up like a squash dickhead. The other thing that can happen, and this almost took my right arm off a while ago, I was lifting the horizontal borer with my big blue bar. I think it's hiding over there in the corner. It's 2 metres long, and the machine fell off the block that was up on and dropped about 1.5 inches to the floor. Now 1.5 inches at the foot of the bar equals about 2 foot at the back end, and luckily it was outside of my armpit and not inside, as the back of the bar moved up instantaneously about 2 foot, enough to take an arm right off or dislocate it or do you a big damage. So the things happen very, very rapidly, and I like to be well out of the bloody way. So I'll reposition the camera, zoom you in, try and get the light. I haven't got any fill lights up yet, they're still all dismantled in that crap of an office. But if I can get the spotlight down and show you what I'm doing, I think you'll see just how easy it is to wheedle a machine around. Back in a second. Okay guys, just like on TV, this is a simulated demonstration. I'm very lucky in the base of the machine. Way down there's a little slot specifically for this job. And a lot of machines are like that. They'll have a flat base with a little curve in the middle or a little slot put in, and you'll see just how easy it is to pick this machine up and just move it 1/4 inch. Now you just see what I mean by wheedling the machine along. It does pay to have a piece of plate there. I tried without the first off and it moved a couple of inches and just about toppled over. It was actually twisting the base of the pallet and making the machine wobble, which I definitely don't want to do. But it's quite an easy item. I'm only putting 15 kilos or less on the end of it, and the mechanical advantage on this little bar is fantastic, but yep, you can walk them along reasonably quick to just go steady at it. Okay, I'll position the camera around and you can see how the machine conglomeration is starting to shape up. Okay, this is going to be the start of the designated grinding area. There's the wrong foo, so I'm set up now for rotor broach or annular cutters. Just to the right of that is where the Brearley drill grinder will go. As long as I can squirm the mower in and out past it, I should be quite happy with that. Over in the corner will be the Servian, and that's what I've pulled up to the edge of the pallet now. I'll be taking the engine crane in there shortly, probably bring it out about another 3 or 4 inches and try and pick it up around the main table assembly. It'll put a little bit of stress on the lifting screw, but I'll be locking up the gibs, so I think that should help. You can see it's a bit gangly up the top, up around that casting that was broken last time. And lastly, the old Clarkson, very easy to move. It's only about 200 kilos maximum all up, and it's on quite a good base. So yeah, that'll be an easy job. When I had that delivered, my driver at the time went out and picked it up off a retired priest of all people, and it was dismantled. The motor and spindle assembly were off it, the sub-table and the base were split up, and we just lifted it all out of the back of the ute and assembled it. It was quite easy to move. Anyway, please like and subscribe. If you like these little hints, I'll keep them coming. If you don't, send me a boo and I'll stop. Bye guys.